Hi and welcome to a short video. I'm just going to discuss the 14 tell me questions, one of which you'll be asked at the beginning of your driving test. Tell me how you check that the brakes are working before starting a journey. So with the ignition on, you would depress the brake pedal and it shouldn't feel spongy or slack. You should also, as you initially move away, press the brake pedal and the car should not pull to one side. Question 2. Tell me where you'd find information for the recommended tyre pressures for this car and how tyre pressures should be checked. So in order to check the tyre pressures, you would first consult the manufacturer's handbook. That's where you will find the tyre pressures that you need. You'd use a reliable pressure gauge such as this one. You'd only check tyre pressures when the tyres are cool. You should remember to check your spare tyre, and you should replace the dust caps when you have finished. Question 3. Tell me how to make sure your head restraint is correctly adjusted so it provides the best protection in the event of a crash. So the rigid part of the headrest, which is roughly the central part, should be at least as high as the eyes or the top of the ears, and it should be as close to the back of the head as is comfortable. Question 4. Tell me how you check the tyres to ensure they have sufficient tread depth and that their general condition is safe to use on the road. So you'd carry out a visual inspection of the tyre or the tyres, and you just ensure there are no lumps, bulges or cuts around it. You then check the tread depths, which run along here, where you must have a minimum of 1.6 millimeters of tread across the central 3/4 breadth of the tyre and across the whole or around the whole circumference of it. Tell me how you check that the headlights and tail lights are working. You don't need to exit the vehicle. So with the ignition switched on, you would switch on the dipped headlights and then you'd check around the car to make sure that the lights are on. Question 6. Tell me how you'd know if there was a problem with your anti-lock braking system. You'd know there was a problem with your anti-lock braking system when you start the ignition, the ABS warning light would illuminate. When you're driving, the ABS warning light would illuminate, and you'd know then that there was a problem with the ABS system. Question 7. Tell me how you check the direction indicators are working. In order to check the direction indicators are working, you'd simply push the hazard lights button and you'd get out and check that all 4 indicators are flashing on and off. Question 8. Tell me how you check the brake lights are working on this car. So again, with the ignition switched on, you would depress the brake pedal. If you had somebody with you, you could go and ask them to check that the brake lights come on. Alternatively, you could reverse up against a window or a reflective surface and check for yourself. Question 9. Tell me how you check the power assisted steering is working before starting a journey. So in order to check the power assisted steering, you'd start the engine and you gently turn the wheel, and it should move freely and easily. If while driving the steering suddenly becomes heavy, that will be an indication that there's something wrong with it. Tell me how you'd switch on the rear fog lights and explain when you'd use them. So in order to switch on the fog lights, again with the ignition switched on, you would switch on the dipped headlights, and you'd note that the 2 green headlight warning lights come on. To switch on the front fog lights, use this switch here, twist it up once, that switches on the front fog light, as you can see by the top green symbol. And then to switch on the rear fog light, you simply twist that down, and that turns on the rear fog lights. To turn those lights off, it's just a mirror image of what you've just done. Lights are off, dipped headlights are off, so is ignition. And explain that you would use the fog lights only in situations where visibility was seriously reduced, in that you could see for less than 100 meters. Question 11. Tell me how you'd switch your headlight from dipped to main beam and explain how you'd know the main beam is on. So once again, with the ignition on, switch on the dipped headlights. You then simply push that stalk forward, and you'll see the blue warning light on the dashboard there. So if I pull the stalk back towards me, we get dipped headlights. Push it forward, main beam. Open the bonnet and tell me how you check that the engine has sufficient oil. So the bonnet release catch is just down there on the passenger side. You pull that up. On this car I've put a little marker just to help. Push your finger in there, pull the catch across towards the left, open it up. So the oil dipstick is the yellow one in the middle of the engine. In order to check the oil level when the engine is cool, twist that, pull it out, clean it. Put it back in fully, pull it back out, and then check the level of the oil is between the minimum and maximum levels on the dipstick there. When you're finished, put it back in, make sure it's done up. If it is low, use the manufacturer's recommended oil to top it up. Tell me how you check the engine coolant level before starting a journey. So the coolant level is in the plastic bottle here. There is a maximum and a minimum marker on the side. You just simply make sure the level of fluid is between the two. If you do need to top it up, only use the approved coolant, and do not undo this top here if the engine is hot, as it's like a kettle and you'll get likely to get burnt by steam. Tell me how you check the engine has sufficient hydraulic oil, has a sufficient hydraulic oil level. So the hydraulic fluid is kept in here, it says DOT4. Again, you've got a minimum and maximum level on the side. The level should be between the two, which it currently is. If it were low, then you'd fill it with the approved type of hydraulic fluid. So that's just a brief explanation and or look around the 14 Tell Me questions. I hope you found it useful, and I wish you all the best with your driving test. Thanks for watching.